Hello and welcome. This is your friendly neighborhood SGDAT here. Hope you're all doing well and are good. Today, it's time for a TV upgrade. I purchased the new Philips 9000 series just over 3 weeks ago, and now I have a thorough set of thoughts, including the pros and cons surrounding this TV after extensive use using it as my main TV of the house for a long term. Yeah, you're going to be looking at my review from a general consumer point of view and not just a rapid fire of specs. So sit tight. This particular unit is known as the Philips PUS9005/12. Yeah, that is a handful. It arrived only about 2 weeks ago, so this review will be based off of owning and using this device for full time for a full week. This is replacing a fairly budget TV. This older TV that it's replacing is made by Blowpunkt, and I've owned it for just over 2 months, although the TV itself was originally purchased by someone else who gave it to me for about £250. That TV had a whole range of issues, and up until the point I was given that TV, I had been using quite a dumb TV, which only had your standard Freeview and analog TV tuner. So I upgraded from that 37-inch 1080p dumb TV to a 58-inch 4K smart TV. Yeah, big jump. The main specs are as follows. The screen technology it uses is LED. Resolution is 4K, in other words, Ultra HD or 3840 by 2160. HDR standards include Dolby Vision, HDR10 and HDR10+. It's got a processing rate of about 2000 ppi, that is pixels per inch. It's got a contrast peak brightness of about 400 nits, and it's got this thing called a picture perfect engine. I don't know, probably made by Philips, and a whole bunch of other cool features here and there. Those features include Chromecast support, built-in Wi-Fi, it's got Ethernet, Bluetooth is built in, yes, it's got HDMI 2.0 ×4, USB 3.0 ports, well, one USB 3.0 port, one USB 2.0 port, a single 3.5mm jack, an optical port, and TV tuner support for Freeview and FreeSat. I purchased this TV for just over £549 British pounds. It should have cost £579, but we had a voucher code that discounts the TV by about £30. The code we found on one of my favorite community driven deals site, hotukdeals.com. Pretty cool site, check it out. I did use the Honey plugin to attempt to find an even better code, but it wasn't able to top this discount, so it just ended up sitting with this £30 off discount. I think that was really just 5% off. It's worth noting that this TV has edge lights, which Philips has called Ambilight. The specific TV has the full 4 edges of lighting. I mention this because Philips does sell 3 edge versions of this TV for about £400. So yeah, I decided to pay that extra £150 to £180, depending on how you look at the discount, for the full RGB light experience. On delivery of the TV, Curry's PC World advised me that I should keep the box for 28 days in case a fault develops, and that way it can be returned or exchanged. They also said that they would still ship their own box, but it would be better for us to just keep the original. One of the main things worth considering is the size. This thing is huge at 58 inches. Good thing is that I planned ahead by checking the dimensions of the TV from the listing page to ensure that I had enough space for the width of the TV. I didn't at first, but after making some minor changes to the position of my furniture, I was alright. So, what did I think of this TV after owning it for a week or two? Well, it's safe to say that after this time period, I'm definitely keeping the TV. Here's why. The TV assembly took just about 30 minutes, considering I recorded parts of it with my phone. Once the TV was set up, I was then led through quite a lengthy setup process. As someone coming from a fairly antique TV purchased in 2007, I was quite surprised at how many terms and conditions I had to sign. These were terms and conditions from different services like Google and Philips, and I think even Rakuten. From Philips, there were terms and conditions. From Amazon, there were terms and conditions. After signing my life and limbs away by blindly agreeing to them, I was up and running. After the TV was up and running and had finished its first time setup and updates, about those updates. Those updates took about 20 minutes, as it had not only the updates for the TV itself, but any apps that had already been pre-installed on it. This was of course a one-time process, so it's forgivable. Finally, after all that time, I had access to live TV. This here is the remote. It's incredibly comfortable and easy to hold, considering the long and boxy look at first sight. It has the usual smart TV shortcuts, including the dedicated buttons to Netflix, but I wish there were more customizable buttons rather than being locked to services that I may not use. TV has exceptional sound quality with down-firing speakers, but isn't the best out there compared to, say, a good soundbar. It's far better than the Blowpunk TV, which had very tinny sound. Regardless of the decent sound quality coming from the TV, I still went ahead and hooked up my own dedicated sound system via optical cable. Like my old TV, I had to make an adjustment to the sound offset setting, which tells the TV how much delay to add to the sound setting coming via the optical port, allowing me to get the picture in sync with the sound, as there may be some kind of delay in the picture compared to sound coming from the optical port. However, I experienced problems with it. Configuring the delay while on a standard definition TV channel would work out well, typically with about 60 milliseconds, but when switching to a high definition Freeview channel, that would exhibit the same duplicated sound effect where it sounds like the TV was behind or ahead of the sound coming from my dedicated sound system. The issue seems to be a problem between HD and standard definition channels. I decided to just keep the sound system off while I'm watching standard definition TV. Sound on YouTube and Twitch within their respective apps are perfect and have no sound issues whatsoever on the sound system. However, I did experience some really weird issues within Amazon's video app, Amazon Prime Video. I had this awkward slowed down sound effect in my dedicated sound system, as if it were being played back at just a tenth of the speed. It sounded quite freaky, so I ended up just turning the sound system off when the Prime Video app was running. Quite a shame, really. But the sound issues don't stop there, unfortunately. I found that a similar sound issue occurred when watching live TV on BBC One HD. The sound was slurred or slow and would even crack occasionally. Here's footage of me catching it red-handed. My sound system hasn't got any compatibility with the ARC or ARC sound system that utilizes HDMI, so I've not been able to test with this, but considering the industry and where it's going with the compatibility for HDMI ARC in dedicated sound systems rather than the optical port, it would be no surprise if that worked a whole lot better. Alright then, picture quality. This is very good. I'm not a screen enthusiast, but the 4K screen really shines and is sharp on any HD content. I consume a lot of HD content, and especially 4K content. 4K video on Prime Video and YouTube looked absolutely beautiful. Image quality was sharp and frames were smooth. I had the opportunity to finally look at the HDR content via the Prime Video app. When the TV detects any such content being played, it will show when Dolby Vision is in use in the bottom right corner. The world of HDR is very confusing to me, in my opinion, and very much relies on the peak brightness and deep contrast of the screen for that specific TV and what it's capable of. But this is just a normal LCD screen. I don't know how well it works, so I might just be sounding a bit clueless. But right now, the result on this TV is excellent. The picture is sharp, smooth, loving it. It's an absolutely crisp viewing experience. There seems to be some kind of FPS smoothing algorithm going on, where even the standard channels or content being displayed looked even smoother. It reminded me a lot of tech used in video editing and game engines, where additional frames were added and in between of every frame, like some kind of interpolation. Not sure what the tech is called, but it made lower quality content much better to watch on the screen. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, hitting that subscribe button down below would be fantastic. This TV has the option to turn off the screen, which is very handy if you're, say, consuming audio content on services such as Google Play Music or Audible or any other apps such as YouTube, and even audio being cast from your phone. It is of course better to cut your own sound system because it just makes the experience so much more, it's just awesome. The main interface for this TV was a bit overwhelming at first, with content everywhere. As you know, this is an Android TV and there is an abundance of apps available for content consumption. That, combined with the new standard layout on the remote to accommodate the smart features of the TV, led to a pretty large learning curve. The words best used by me personally to describe my initial thoughts when met with the challenge of this learning curve was literally apps everywhere, buttons on remote everywhere, content everywhere. But after a few days, I got well used to it. All the content finally came together and the home screen interface made sense. I especially like the way live TV is presented on home screens within Android TV, with the progress of the current show on any particular channel being shown in the form of a progress bar in red and a live badge in the bottom right corner of the show's thumbnail. This is very much like how YouTube presents content on their webpage. This was initially confusing to me as I mistook it for my YouTube feed, but really it's just blended in very well with all the other content on the home screen, which itself is a mix of all the content I have access to across all the services that I'm using on that TV at that moment. The remote itself has a home button, which will be the most used button on the remote by far. One thing I don't like about it is the way it takes you completely out of context of what you are currently watching and loads a full screen home screen. Live TV or any other content that you're watching at that time doesn't even continue playing in the background. I've found myself using a newly discovered long press of the home button, which is a feature that displays all the apps that I have access to in a small grid on the right half of the screen. Speaking of which, there is a boatload of video apps pre-installed. Most of them I don't use, but at least I have options. Admittedly, I had the choice during the initial setup of which apps I would like installed, but that was a really long list. Out of curiosity, I just left them all ticked, so I may as well just check them out later, I guess. This TV has Google Assistant built in and even has a dedicated Google Assistant button over here, and it's great. It allows me to ask it many things such as switching channels, changing the volume, and most importantly, does all the same stuff that Google Assistant does on my mobile devices, such as asking it what the weather is, getting it to Rick Morey. Yeah, it did something. It gave me suggestions for Never Gonna Give You Up and turning the heating up on my Nest thermostat. Set the heating to 27 degrees.
Alright, setting the heat on the Nest thermostat to 27.
The TV has DVR functionality, allowing me to pause and rewind TV for up to 1.5 hours of live TV. It also has the ability to record live TV. I can play back any recorded footage at a later time, giving me more flexibility in when I choose to view content I may not want to miss out. The TV says it requires external storage of at least 256 gigabytes of space, and well, I've purchased a 1TB Western Digital portable hard drive for use exclusively on this TV. It does give a warning that it will format the hard drive, but that's okay, at least for me. Any existing data will be cleared, so a dedicated hard drive is most suited for using on a TV. During the playback of recorded live TV, and this includes the playback of TV I've just paused, I've found the screen would occasionally flash black for a split second, but this would be at random intervals, roughly between about 20 and 40 seconds. Can't say exactly why that is, but I do hope the issues mentioned up until now can be resolved in a future TV update. On the positive side, this feature is simply amazing. I was watching a film with my wife on BBC One HD, but at late night, and the time was, it was really late. It was about 1 AM or something. Then I decided to hit the record button and turn the TV off. Now, check this. Even though the TV was off and in standby, it carried on recording that same TV channel. This is simply amazing. Both me and my wife was away for about 2 days after me hitting the record button, but when we arrived back and went back to the recorded TV menu, I was able to resume watching that very same film both me and my wife had nearly missed out on, and yes, in HD, as that is the same quality it recorded in. However, we hit a bit of a problem. The recorded footage on the TV stopped at literally 29 minutes and 59 seconds, leading to an abrupt and immature ending of our film. What a sad moment that was. Then I realized that the TV is set to automatically record for only 30 minutes from the time I hit that record button on the remote, but I have the option of extending that by going into the recording menu and changing the end time. It is a bit of an inconvenience, but a trade-off I'm happy with to accept, giving the total package of convenience this record button offers. Also, I'm able to hit the record button on a TV channel and then go into an app like YouTube and watch a video, whilst the TV simultaneously records that TV channel that I just hit record on. On top of that, I can head into the TV guide at any time and schedule the TV to record any shows that might be aired in the future by hitting the record button on that specific show within the TV guide. I gave this a try and it did successfully record the scheduled program. These features are simply awesome. However, I did note that it would switch to that respective TV program in the background if the TV is off. So if you happen to turn on the TV while the scheduled program is being recorded, you'll notice that whatever channel your TV may have been on right before you turn the TV off, that's now been replaced with the TV channel that you scheduled to record. It will show a recording animation in the top right corner indicating it's currently recording. Any attempt to switch channels will warn the user that it's going to have to stop the recording. Not a big deal. I mean, at this point, the limit that we're hitting here seems to be more of a restriction on how TV broadcast receivers work in general, but it is what it is. Another thing I noticed is that the recording was named according to the scheduled program name, which is neat, but the name can be incorrect if the TV programming schedule has to change for whatever reason. I had scheduled to record Police Interceptors, but the actual recording was of another program entitled Britain's Worst Neighbours or something like that. Alright then, enough of the DVR stuff. This TV has Alexa integration. Nearly thought I triggered my assistant behind me. This allows me to do all kinds of neat stuff. I can now ask the assistant on any Amazon Echo in my house to turn the TV on, switch to any channel I ask it to, and many other things, making use of the TV truly futuristic. Alexa, Turn the TV on.
Okay.
Alexa, change the channel to Really.
Okay.
Alexa, turn the TV off.
Wildfire. They won't make that mistake again, we hope.
The setup process of this TV was a bit of a challenge. I'm sure all of this is in the manual. Yes, that manual, the stuff that no one really reads. But after a quick internet search, I just needed to install the Alexa app from the Google Play Store. Yes, the Google Play Store on TV. After installing the app, I couldn't find the app anywhere. Now, to be honest, this was during the learning curve phase, so I suppose I was getting a little impatient. I ended up just using Google Assistant search on the remote to launch it with voice. I then needed to turn on the Philips Smart TV voice control within the Alexa app. That is basically the name of the skill. Then I just had to follow instructions, including logging into my Google account via the Alexa app. Didn't want to say it before I trigger something. Just to link it to the TV. Once it was all set up, I was able to change channels and lots of other commands, including turning the TV off or turning it on. However, I wasn't able to turn the TV on unless I turned on the switch TV on via Chromecast feature in the TV settings. This setting apparently increases power consumption at standby, but just by a negligible amount. Now, I understand most challenges faced probably could have been minimized if I'd simply read the manual like a total dinosaur, but I would expect things like TVs to be fairly self-explanatory. As I briefly mentioned before, the app ecosystem is extremely rich for a smart TV, with many apps being available. I've seen people running actual 3D games on this without a separate box or even a controller, with controls being mapped to the remote control. Of course, I wouldn't recommend using the remote to play anything other than casual games like card games or something turn-based. I had personally only decided to download media consumption apps. I've also tried Kodi, which allows for all kinds of awesome media consumption functions itself, including full support for Kodi plugins, which can be installed just by using the built-in repository within that Kodi app. Yeah, it has one pre-installed. And if you want, you can link to network storage for watching videos on your local network. One thing I found quite interesting are the pre-installed Kodi plugins, seemingly specific to this TV, which I've yet to play with, but it appears it may be able to tap into the DVR and live TV functionality. So I hope to get around to testing those bits out in the future. This TV supports USB keyboards, which is useful for other apps that need that sort of function. I have a cheapo USB keyboard plugged in permanently and hidden away until I really need to use it. This could be for maybe the occasional web browsing session. Onto the flagship features of this TV. This particular TV features something specific to Philips TVs called Ambilight. I quite honestly wouldn't have chosen this TV if it wasn't for this feature, as there's plenty of other smart TVs with decent screens that I could have chosen at less cost. The lights on the edge of the TV extends and projects the closest part of the screen per light of what I'm watching onto the walls immediately behind the TV, allowing for an absolutely amazing immersive experience. The lights shine very bright and pretty much rendering all lighting, well, especially lamps, all lighting in this room useless. Not a bad thing. Another standout feature making use of these lights is the dedicated Ambilight button at the top of the remote. When the TV is switched off, the button can be used just to turn the lights on the TV on. Repeated button presses then cycles through the colors and eventually turns the lights off. Whilst the TV is on, the Ambilight button can be used to display the Ambilight quick settings, which allows you to quickly change how the light behaves. If you wish, you can actually set a background color of your choice or set it to react to sound coming from the TV. Ambilight actually extends to the Philips Hue lights in a room if you have any, allowing for an increased sense of immersion throughout the room. I don't have any Ambilight Hue enabled devices in the house, so I couldn't test it, but there's some footage that I'll draw up on the screen now of other YouTubers making good use of this feature with their own Philips Hue setups. I'll have links to these videos in the description below. The other apps run very quickly on this device. I do like to consume YouTube on the TV, especially when paired up with the YouTube app on my mobile. If you're not already familiar with this experience, the cast option within the YouTube app on mobile launches the YouTube app on the TV and resumes any video you're currently watching on the TV. The YouTube app can then be used to queue up any more videos you want to watch and control the timeline using the usual controls on the mobile app. This can also be used and controlled from the lock screen of your mobile phone, at least if you use Android. And the volume controls on the phone map directly with the volume controls on the TV. One feature I like when turning the TV back on, if I was last watching a YouTube video, is it resumes that same video that I was last watching from the exact same timestamp. Of course, any videos you're watching is synced to your account, and then you can resume them on any device you own via the watch history screen. Woo! There you have it. Overall, this TV is good enough for me and it's here to stay. But considering the long list of issues, I do wonder if I'm making the right choice in keeping it over, say, returning it for maybe another unit or even a full refund. When it comes to making what is a significant investment for something meant for the long term, such as a TV, you expect to get every ounce of value you can squeeze from what you've just spent on that TV. At £579, I expect it to behave well with no issues whatsoever. The issues mentioned will hopefully be resolved in a future TV software update, but time will tell whether such a thing becomes a reality. With the recent COVID crisis inflicting what seems to be long-term issues for companies and their operations, fixing what may be hardware issues or software-related issues to that hardware will be challenging, especially if workers are either furloughed or unable to access the TV or its hardware due to safety reasons. Regardless, and my speculation aside, one can hope Philips is able to sort these issues out. So, what do you think? Is this the kind of TV you would be willing to buy? As it stands now, I'm still very impressed with this TV and I may not return it at all considering all the positives. Alright then, I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. That would be fantastic. If not, well, the other button works too. Sad face. But be sure to leave a comment at the very least. Would love to know your thoughts. Alright guys, I'm checking out. Peace.